Hello, welcome to Istanbul Motorsport Park in Turkey, ready for rounds 15 and 16 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. We are ready for the first of our two races of this afternoon to get underway. Here's the way the championship is, led by Brit Andy Prio, 9 points ahead of compatriot James Thompson, 12 points back Augusto Farfus, 13 points back two of the three Mullers, Jörg and Ivan. Dirk Muller is 14 points back, 17 points back Ricardo Rydell and Gabriele Tarquini, and in ninth place in the points Peter Terting, 25 off the lead. Well, there are still 60 points on offer in the season, so he could win it. So too could Jordi Genet in 10th position. Realistically, though, it'll be one of our top 7 drivers, probably, or possibly 8, including Gabriele Tarquini, who will win the title. For the manufacturers, it will come down to BMW or Seat. 1 point between them at the moment. And David Leslie, it'd be a surprise if there's an awful lot more than that by the end of the season.
I think so. As we heard Andy Prio say in the warm-up, that it's a one-race championship. All will come down to the last race in Macau in November the 19th, and that's the one day that will make all the difference. But what you've got to do until then is just keep working hard, scoring points, being in the top 5 of the championship, so that when it gets to the last day, you've got that opportunity to be part of that championship winning team.
Ja, jag vet inte riktigt vad jag ska tro. Jag har haft en
Caught up with Ricardo Rydell about his pole. He said, don't really know what to expect. I've had a pretty good season. My car has been great during free practice and qualifying, and I've had 3 poles in 8 races this year. Be able to manage pole yesterday was great, and now I have to try and make as many points as I can in both of today's races, and hope to get onto the podium in one of those. That's certainly the target. Alex Zanardi started alongside, or will start alongside, the Swede in the 2nd position on the grid. And of course the Italian, not a winner so far this season, claimed his first win in the World Touring Car Championship at Oschersleben last year. And starting with the BMW on the outside of the front row, he certainly got his best chance of winning a race this year. This is his best qualifying result to date in the World Touring Car Series.
Sappiamo tutti che la
everybody
BMW
knows that
ha un
BMW's got a slight advantage at the start, said Alex, as I hope then to jump into the lead and hold that until the end. I also hope to stay away from trouble and accidents, which seem to happen a lot in this championship. Well, that perhaps a little dig at Ivan Muller, with whom he has clashed several times this season. But David Leslie, we said in this morning's warm-up, Alex Zanardi, it's his best qualifying position in 2 years' worth of World Touring Car racing, and he has got his best chance of winning a race this season in his hands right now.
Without doubt. And he has been quick all weekend as well, in the 2 free practice sessions as well, and in warm-up this morning. I mean, even in warm-up this morning, he was quickest, and he was quickest by a good half a second. So this seems to be his track, seems to be his weekend. What he's got to do is make a really good start off the front row, off the pole position. Off the front row, 2nd position, and get to that first corner first. And I think it'll be very difficult to beat after that.
Well, although the World Touring cars look like standard road cars, in fact, underneath the production body shell, they are a very sophisticated work of engineering, and a lot of the work goes into taking what is a fairly flexible road car and making it stiff enough to resist the impacts of heavy braking, heavy acceleration, and heavy use of the curbs by the drivers. Across the 2 top mounts of the front suspension, in every engine bay, you will see a strut brace which links the suspension from the left to the right so that it works against itself rather than against the body shell. Part of the integral safety structure of the car is this immensely strong roll cage to protect the driver, but also it's tied into the body shell and the suspension settings, suspension mountings, to try and hold the car as rigidly as possible, with a rear strut brace, and even the safety elements, the door bars that prevent side intrusion into the cockpit space, are also used to tie together with the roll cage to make this car a paragon of stiffness. Well, all the World Touring Car Championship cars are based on a production shell that comes from the manufacturer's road car line, or in a lot of cases actually basically from an entire road car that's shipped over and then stripped down. And David, hundreds of man hours have gone into manufacturing it, remanufacturing the shell to the finite tolerances that racing needs, that are a lot closer than you would find in a road car.
That's right, and you know, you're better off starting with what we call a white metal shell direct from the factory and doing the work there, rather than what some people have to do. We start with a road car, strip it down, and then start and take everything off and make it lighter from that point onwards. But there's various ways you can do it, and but even when you do have it stripped down, you're looking at something 400 plus man-hours to put in the roll cage, all the stiffness in the front suspension, the rear suspension, the safety bars on the side, and so on and so forth. So an awful lot of man-hours going to turning it from a basic road car into these very, very quick World Touring cars indeed.
Well, the average road car tolerances would be something like plus or minus 2 or 3 millimetres, which for a road car is fine. Plus and minus 0.2 or 0.3 of a millimetre is the sort of accuracy that they'd be looking for in all the measurements. And that's the measurements of the chassis, exactly where the suspension is mounted, where the wings and everything else are mounted. Because if you just put it together and it's not quite in the right position, the suspension doesn't work, the aerodynamics are compromised, nothing is exactly as it should be. Now, you see the tyre warmers coming off as we get towards the final moments of our starting lineup. You saw Duncan Heisman, Nicola Larini, they were on row 3. This is row 4, the grid, Augusto Farfus, and third in the championship at the moment. Alpha 1, 2, 3 in qualifying here last year, haven't been able to replicate that. Shows how much everybody else has caught up with the rocket ships that were the Alphas here last year. But I still secretly think that Farfus has got a chance of racing his way into a podium. He's been a really, really strong racer this year, and the Alfa Romeo 156 is still hardly a slug. Now on the outside of the fourth row is car number 43, the BMW Schnitzer car from BMW Team Germany of Dirk Müller. And we caught up with Dirk Müller with a bit of a fly on the wall camera throughout yesterday's qualifying sessions. Just give you a little bit of an idea of what goes on. We'll try and bring you that in a few moments. Andy Priaulx scored more points than any other time in the championship last time out at Brno. Didn't score as many as Jörg Müller, rather, the other BMW driver, but it was enough to put him back into the championship lead. And he'll be hoping, despite the 80 kilos that he's carrying in success ballast, to try and replicate that. But from 14th on the grid, he might be struggling a little. So let's catch up then with Dirk Müller. 12 months ago when he arrived in Istanbul, Dirk Müller had led the championship since the first race weekend. This year, completely different. He comes here 6th in the points, 14 only adrift of leader Andy Priaulx. But still, he recognises, as everybody else does, that Istanbul might be a turning point. A good result here will be vital. So here's how it works in qualifying. Dirk talking on the radio saying, OK, the car seems to be the same as in free practice this morning. Most important thing for me is the grip is coming back progressively in the mid-speed corners from turn-in. 12 minutes after the start of the session, though, the rain begins to fall. Dirk, we've got 15 minutes left, says his engineer. Still raining, we won't have enough time to make any changes. Do you want to put on wet weather tyres? Well, I just need to know if I'm still in 8th, is that right? Yes, confirmation, Dirk, you are still in 8th place. So then a chance to run for the first time all weekend on wet tyres, but with dry settings. Well, it's good to have wets on, he said. Turns 5 and 6 and 7 are pretty dry, but 8 and 9 quite wet. Now, that's what we saw in qualifying. One half of the circuit much wetter. Well, 8th place, not too bad.
7 went well. 8, it was slippery. Yeah. So I lost performance there. 9 was...
Ich habe sehr viel Glück gehabt.
Pretty lucky, said Dirk. We started qualifying a little late. We had to make some changes on the car. So just before my fast lap, unfortunately, it started to rain. I had to pit to pick up new tyres. And when I went out, conditions were certainly not at their best. It was very slippery with the sprinkling of water. So actually, I was really quite surprised by the time that I managed in the rain. So for me, mixed emotions. Could have been much better, but could have been a lot worse.
Von daher ein lachendes, ein weinendes Auge. Das hätte viel besser sein können, aber auch schlechter.
So now time to head into the race. And it could be a very important weekend for Dirk Müller, who of course lost out to Andy Priaulx last year and in 2004 in the final race weekend. So can Dirk Muller put himself back in the frame? It's certainly a different looking championship situation for him. 6th place in the points and 14 adrift of our race, of our series leader Andy Prio. As I said, he lost out in a tie-break in 2004 in a European title race in Bahrain, and he lost by a couple of points in 2005 in Macau. He went there with every chance of winning the championship. So for Dirk Muller, coming up short in the last 2 years. Jörg Muller the 2 years before that in the European Championship. Schnitzer have got a lot of monkey on their back to try and get rid of this season. 6 races left in the championship, and in 15 minutes there will be just 5. Stay with us as we return in just a moment live at Istanbul for round 15 of the World Touring Car Championship 2006, live on Eurosport. Gabriele Tarquini working his way around the cold and overcast track here in Istanbul in Turkey. Looking back from Augusto Farfus, who'll line up 7th on the grid. That was the car of Dirk Muller behind him, and our pole sitter Rickard Rydell. David Leslie, it rained in qualifying yesterday at around this time of day, and I wouldn't be entirely surprised if we don't have some rain during the race. Everybody, of course, will be on dry weather tyres and praying desperately that we don't have the lottery situation that a rain shower would bring.
That's right. They're all fairly well settled into their position. They know where they are, what they need to do. And it is dry now, and I think they'll be hoping for a drier race because they've got a good idea what they need to do in that. If it turns into a wet race, as you said, it becomes a lottery. Even the teams believe it will become a lottery should it go wet. Now, what's worrying them is that after 3 o'clock local time, which is what it is there now, it's 1 o'clock in the UK, 3 o'clock over there, there's a 60% chance of rain. So I'm sure all these teams are looking at the sky to try and work out what's happening. Is this rain going to come sooner or later? And these guys now have got 2 10-lap races over the next basically 2 hours worth of time between now and 3 o'clock. So they will be watching that sky. They will be trying to keep their fingers crossed to make sure that they will be able to hang on to some real proper dry racing.
Well, you saw Jaime Puig and big breaths as well from Roberto Ravaglia. Their men on the front row of the grid. Rickard Rydell on pole, Alex Zanardi on the outside the front row of the grid. There is Puig looking out of the doorway there at the back of the garage, as he so often is with his glances everywhere around this big Seat Sport operation. And of course Seat not only looking to win this race but also take the championship lead away from BMW in the manufacturer's standings. Safety car comes to the back of the grid. All the cars have completed the green flag lap. We have got 24 cars on the grid ready to go. You can see them shimmering in a heat haze here at Istanbul Park, ready for race 15 in the World Touring Car Championship, with the starting sequence about to get underway. The revs rise. 5 lights are on. When they go off, away we go. Now watch Alex Zanardi immediately trying to cut off the pole sitter Rickard Rydell, trying to keep Rydell out on the outside as they rush down to the first corner. Good show of speed from Rydell. Look for the second BMW trying to come through. That is Dirk Muller. No, it's not. It's Heisman. Dirk Muller is in about 7th place. Farfus runs out wide. He'll lose a couple of places. The other Alfa at the back there, that is Gianni Morbidelli. So, good start from Alex Zanardi and from Rickard Rydell. Zanardi's got the lead now. He's got to get away from Rydell and the other Seats. Look at that BMW. That is Duncan Heisman right behind Gabriele Tarquini. Of course, he is Alex Zanardi's teammate, and those 2 cars were the fastest thing in free practice and should have been dominating the front row in qualifying. If it hadn't rained, I'm sure they would have done. Nicola Larini going very strongly in his Chevrolet at the beginning as well, David, but somebody abandoned on the curbs at the back. I think it might have been Diego Romanini, one of the independent drivers. Looked like the Vickers Sport BMW. Heisman getting eased down, and the Seats are coming around him. That's Ivan Muller trying to get by him there, and Larini has got Dirk Muller coming alongside, so it's very busy. This is on board in 2nd place, Rickard Rydell's view of Alex Zanardi, and look at that, Larini up to 3rd.
No, Larini's in 6th place.
Yeah, you're right.
He really is. He's been going well all weekend with the Chevrolet. He's the one person in Chevrolet that's not really had a fantastic result. He's looking for one here this weekend. He's been on top. He's trying to keep the BMW of Muller behind him. He's using that ability to try and block the track wherever possible to keep him behind. At the same time, he's got to try and get himself past that Seat. He's gone a little bit wide there when he come onto this straight. and it looks as though he's going to lose that position as he comes onto the straight. The BMW using its power, but there's one of the Alphas right in the middle. That looks like Farfus in the middle there, really under siege from all the cars that are behind him. 3
abreast in front of Andy Prio. Prio's trying to find a way through that group. It's Zanardi that leads, Rydell in second. Third place has got to be Tarquini looking back. This is from Farfus. That's Andy Prio, who was going down the inside. It's yet another Seats Thompson. Tomo and Prio, 1 and 2 in the championship, rubbing together there, and that's Jordi Genet. Peter Turgeon a little further back, of course, after his engine change. And across the line, it's still Zanardi, but Rydell is right there. Alex can't shake off the Seat. And one of the things on this long, fast track, David, is the Seat may not have exactly the top speed of the BMW, but he can get a really good tow. Will that be enough to keep him there behind the race leader?
I think it will be enough to keep him right there, but
carnage, it's Prio! Prio off, but he avoids a major hit. He's got to select a gear and keep going. Look, he's had a big thump from behind, and it looks as though the car might be settling down on the left rear. Has it got a puncture? I'm not sure it has, but that's a real disaster for the championship leader. He had a big hit from behind into the braking area. Maybe on that lap, maybe on lap 1. Look again at the start. Zanardi didn't get hooked up as well as Rydell did. Great start from the Seat driver, but Zanardi squeezed him over to the outside. As look behind, Tarquini and Duncan Heisman rather battling for that third position into the first corner. Couple running wide, including Augusto Farfus. Heisman with Ivan Muller now in front of him, so Heisman's gone back down to 5th place where he started. But as the race progresses, his tyres may be a little better than the Seats in front of him, although the cold temperatures here might help the front-wheel drive car's tyres survive on what is a pretty heavy track for tyre wear.
And the cars really are working hard around here, and they're now getting into their stride. You can see them using all of the circuit and every inch of the curb as well. And sometimes, certainly with the Seat, it's a bit more than what the curb is needed. But Nicola Larini under pressure from the BMW, yeah, and that's another position gone for him. Yeah. But he's still in 8th place. That will do him fine, because if he stays in 8th place, that's a first place start in the second race when they reverse the first 8 around. But Duncan Heisman still right on the tail of Ivan Muller with the Seat there, the number 12 car, and now he's beside him. It's that big long straight again. We keep saying about that straight how much there is to get a tow and try and get past somebody.
Got a great run through turn 11, and that is a fabulous piece of racetrack. It's one of the best setting up of overtaking manoeuvres piece of track that I can think of on the planet. It's a fabulous section from turn 9 and 10 through 11 down to 12, 13, 14. It really is a great overtaking setup. And again, coming down this long front straight, Zanardi with Rydell just a whisker behind him. On his own in third, Tarquini, and Ivan Muller with more company than he can shake a stick at in the form of Duncan Heisman. Heisman, of course, with no championship to battle for. It's all about winning races and gaining positions for him. Came into the series kind of late. Only raced at Macau last year. As we run on board now with the 2 Mullers, we're on board with Dirk Muller. That's Jörg with Jörg Muller. That's
Dirk we're looking at. We're looking at Duncan Heisman in front, and then after that Ivan Muller with the other
that is Prio now. Did he get contact from behind?
It looks like he went round there on his own, and then as he spun, one of the BMWs further back caught him as it was spinning. But it looks as though he'd actually lost it on the way in, all on his own, but he's certainly done a fair bit of damage to the back of the car. The bumper's gone, the tray's hanging down, the exhaust is hanging down. But remember, these guys have only got 15 minutes to turn these cars around in the middle to get them back out again. Now, he's already at the back, and to try and come from the back to score some more points, I think he's struggling. I reckon this weekend he's going to end up with a sort of nil points in order to before he goes to the next meeting.
Well, he is currently running in 22nd, Tomo 21st, Rob Huff just in front of them in 20th. Now we know he started right in trouble as well, so they've had a torrid time, those 3 British drivers. So our 1 and 2 men in the championship are in the 20s, which means it's very likely to be a nil-point weekend for both of them. From here on in, they're going to really struggle to get anywhere at all. It's not impossible, but seeing the side of Prio's car, I don't know who hit him in the back, but somebody hit him very firmly in the back, or he hit the barriers backwards at some stage. Well, there is the pass from Heisman with Ivan Muller. Now, Ivan Muller doesn't mind rubbing as far as racing goes. Gabriele Tarquini has had a couple of incidences with him, and Ivan Muller with Dirk Muller right behind him now. Heisman losing out. Dirk slips straight through there, and that's Heisman and Jürg and Dirk all together. 3 BMWs.
Ivan's gone back up the inside. He got the line right out of the corner and took that position back again, and that's him back into 4th place. But now he's got 3 BMWs, starting with Duncan Heisman, Dirk Muller and Jürg Muller behind. So that's the three BMWs trying very hard to displace the Seat. And while the Seat's trying to look after Heisman and running into each other, the two Works BMWs are saying, thank you very much, I'll have a piece of that. And that's Dirk through. Well, Jürg is now up in right behind Ivan, and he's going to take very short time. If Ivan gives him a lot of trouble, I think there will be a real clash between those two.
Yeah, where does Ivan Muller try and defend? Left or right or over the top? Because there's 3 options of attack from behind him. He can't guard 3 different options, so he's got to defend against one or the other, and whichever he defends against, somebody will go through. Dirk goes through, Jürg has a look, and there's contact there, and again, Jürg Muller won't worry too much about making contact with Ivan Muller. Not sure that the second biff was strictly necessary, and Jaime Puig might be wanting the stewards to have a look at that. Ivan Muller cuts off Duncan Heisman, though. But Nicola Larini went through, so they saw Umberto Grano. And is that Jürg Muller going very slowly, or it's one of the, is it? I think it's 42. The Schnitzer car. That is Dirk Muller going very slowly, Jürg Muller rather going very slowly. And I wondered whether that second move across the road was because there'd been a broken steering arm in that first biff, which so often happens with these cars. It's one of the elements that is really susceptible to damage. Now Peter Terting is going past Ivan Muller. And maybe Ivan has had his tracking knocked out a little bit out of whack as well, although it looked as though it was his door in the front left corner, Jordi Janet's car, with a biff at the back as well. I think that might have been from Andy Priaulx. And there's Farfus with Terting. Goodness me, this is just like video game racing. It really is. Augusto Farfus with Ivan Muller going by and Peter Terting going by, and Jordi Janet trying to take lumps out of him as well. Zanardi still leads Rydell, leads Tarquini, but all the action is outside the top 3. David again almost 4 abreast. We're mid-race. This isn't the run down to the first corner, not on lap 1 anyway.
And look at these Seat going past the Alfa Romeo. That never ever used to happen. The Alfa was always the quickest in a straight line.
Oh, and that's Morbidelli.
No, that was Farfus running into the back of one of the Seats. Morbidelli's caught the whole lot up.
You're right, it was Morbidelli went helping himself. Yeah, it was Farfus on the left of picture. Tom Coronel.
He was a hit with. Even less of Genet's car left now. Oh, there it goes. Another piece gone.
At least it'll be lighter. Jaime Puig just mentally adding up the damage bill here. But that's what you have to take into account if you want to race here now. I tell you what, the spectators are certainly getting value for money, but trying to keep track of it all. That is Morbidelli into Genet.
And that's
Tabano.
The rear wheel's broken, the rear suspension's gone on that now.
So all 3 Alphas there in the mix. So my apologies to Morbidelli. I think it was Tabano that went by Farfus, and there was a Seat off there as well. There is the only Yasport Honda. They're really not on the pace here at all. Here's our race leader, Alex Zanardi, keeping himself ahead of Ricard Ralland. He's doing a good job as well. Rydell just can't close that last half second, even down here to turn 12.
But in second place, you've got Rydell, and third, you've got Tarquini. Tarquini having a very lonely race in third place. But those two guys know they need to score points to lift them up from that 41 points we've got in the championship, and that's exactly what they're doing. And they could do it again in the second race. All of a sudden, they could be a lot better off. Look what's left of that car. Nothing. The right-hand rear wheel has got a terrible angle. Bumper's missing. Front-hand left wheel is hanging off. There's no tyre on it. All I can see is a rim sticking out the side. So that's a real mess, that car now.
So the BMWs coming through it, well, hardly unscathed, but coming through it. Duncan Heisman ahead of Dirk Muller, and they are now 4th and 5th, and that's a change because Dirk was ahead of Heisman. Now, he won't want to give any points away to anybody, so what happened? Well, this is the contact, Jürg Muller and Ivan Muller, and I think Jürg Muller had broken steering there because the car just lurched left, and I'm not sure he would have done that to stay in front. Alex Zanardi leads. Ricardo Rydell running a little wide in the first corner. Testament again to how hard he's trying here. Gabriele Tarquini in third, but now, David, 6 laps of the 10 completed. Zanardi for the first time with fresh air. Have we now seen the front-wheel drive Seat tyres start to deteriorate compared to the BMWs? Has Zanardi got more grip? Is that it?
It's generally about this point in the race, just over between halfway and 2/3, that the BMW has that little bit of extra go, that little bit of extra strength. The tyres are probably not worn out because they're using 4 tyres instead of just 2 the front-wheel drive cars are using, and then that's the point to get a little bit stronger, and that's what it looks like at the moment. He's got a little bit extra, but look at this constant battle now. That's Nicola Larini, isn't it, number 8 that's in there?
That's Menu. Ahead of Ivan Muller, ahead of Stefano D'Aste. That's 13th, 14th, 15th and 16th is Cerasoli there. So that's an interesting battle further back. Heisman 4th, Dirkmuller 5th, Larini is in 6th place still, Peter Terting 7th, Augusto Farfus 8th. Well, so much for my prediction of a podium for the Alfa Romeo driver. Mind you, he has been involved in rather too much incident and accident to get there. There he is at the top of the hill with Farfus, Luca Rangoni, top independent, with Tom Coronel right behind him, and the Asport Honda of Pierre-Yves Courtals. Looking back, that's Luca Rangoni. There's Tom Coronel trying to get the jump on the BMW driver. That's why Rangoni is giving Farfus the hurry up, because this is for the independence victory. Tom Coronel getting very close now to independent title victory. He doesn't want to have to go all the way to Macau to win the title that he won in 2004 and lost in 2005 to the BMW of Mark Enrici. Big long squeal of the brakes as Augusto Farfus gets on the anchors down into turn 12. This great sequence, 12, 13, 14. Look at Coronel rumping up the curbs and trying to hang on to Rangoni. Rangoni just with a little bit of clear air. Is that enough? I think it might be to carry him across the line with 8 laps now completed, or on to lap 8 rather of the 10. So Zanardi's gap at the line, 1.6 seconds over Rydell, and that's a bit of a comfortable margin. 2.1 further back was Tarquini in third, Heisman in fourth, Dirkmuller in fifth, Larini in 6th position. But this battle, this is the top independence. You can see, and Luca Rangoni having a look at the back of Augusto Farfus. Farfus in the N Technology Alfa Romeo, not an independent team. But Luca Rangoni is having a graze all over him, left and right, in the same corner he's trying.
He's certainly round the corners from turn 3 round to turn 7, basically, where it's lots of twists and turns. It's really all over it, but there are yellow flags being waved around the circuit at various points. You just can't take a dive where the flag's out, but the flag's not there, so there he goes.
Down into 7, does him downhill into the hairpin. Here comes Coronel. Coronel's got a run on him. This is up to turn 8. Surely the BMW won't lose out on the inside line to the Seat in turn 8. Well, they don't get side by side through though. Oh, he's lost it. Rangoni has a big wobble, turned in too early. The back stepped out on him and he had to get off the gas and save it. And here comes Farfus just pushing his way through. And Rangoni couldn't turn left there, David, because the Alfa was hard up against the steering. Comes back in against Pierre-Yves Courtals. From Farfus, right behind there is Morbidelli. Oh my goodness me, it's tight.
And the one that's won out of all that is Coronel. He's managed to break away from them, but the rest are still fighting. You've still got Farfus, you've got the BMW Langoni, you've got Courtels now right beside them, and you've got Morbidelli right behind thing. Can it come through the middle of here somewhere?
Side by side through 11. It's going to be 3 abreast into the braking area. Pierre-Yves Courtals will lose out here. Rangoni gets it ahead of Morbidelli. Yes, he does. Rangoni with a shorter run in. Now he dives out wide, but there's not quite enough room there for Morbidelli to get back at him. Fantastic racing all the way through the field. Fantastic stuff. Zanardi from Rydell, but Rydell's bringing the gap down. 4 tenths on that lap. Tarquini in third, Heisman in fourth, no threat to him. Dirkmuller in fifth, Nicola Larini in sixth. Again, those 2-second gaps keeping the field spread out. Umberto Grano watching Alex Zanardi getting closer and closer to his pole position, to checkered flag. First World Touring Car win of 2006. 8 laps completed out of 10. Ricardo Rydell in no position now to threaten him. It's all Alex. He's got to hold on to this now because nobody's going to take it away from him.
No, that's right, Rydell. I'm sure will be quite happy with taking 8 points. That will lift him in the championship from his 41 points to 49. And that will put him basically second equal in the championship.
Well, Prio's not going to score, Thompson's not going to score, Farfus isn't going to score, Jörg Muller's not going to score, Ivan Muller, top 8 at the moment, nope. He's not going to score. Hello, is anyone going to score in the top half dozen?
Dirk Muller, he's the only one
in the top 6 in the championship that could score a point at the moment, and there's his boots. Dirk, look at that on his Puma other boots are available racing boots, very nicely customised indeed, and you can see he's got the pedal to the metal. 2 second gap, he's going to try and close it if he can, heeling and towing there, the toe on the brake pedal and using the heel to blip the engine revs to match the gears, because they don't have any synchro on the gearboxes to match the revs to the speed of the transmission to try and avoid crunching the gears. That's a graphic illustration of what people talk about when they say heeling and towing. Don't try it in your road car, the pedals aren't positioned properly for it, it doesn't work. And it's a dying art, I suppose, nowadays, particularly among single-seater drivers where the preponderance is now to go for semi-automatic gearboxes and flipper fingers and all that kind of stuff.
It is, yeah, but you know, seeing that working there is the way it should be done, and he's doing a good job in keeping the car up. He's in 5th place with it.
Lap 9 of 10 for Alex Zanardi, our race leader.
Here's this constant battle still. Oh, and
Morbidelli's having a go.
He's wide again, is Rangoni.
Well, Morbidelli helped him wide there out of the final corner, and Pierre-Yves Courtals moves up to 2nd in the Independence Trophy. Ryan Sharp, I'm sure, is watching this at home in Scotland and must be going, oh, I wish I was there, as getting in too deep into the first corner is Tom Coronel. So too is Alain Menu trying to pick up some places.
Menu's now in the back of this thing. He started right at the back of the grid because he had terrible problems in free practice and qualifying, so he's now picking his way up through there and has been overtaking lots of cars.
And do you know why it's important? Because Coronel holds the last point and pole for race 2. The camera you are watching from now is pole for race 2, 8th place, and Farfus wants it more than anything. But he's got Morbidelli, Courtals, Rangoni, Menu, the rest of them rammed up behind him, and it's going to be very tough for Farfus to get there. So Alex Zanardi within sniffing distance now. There's Prio still going, Rob Huff still going. Where's Tomo? Behind them now is James Thompson back there. And we're in the 20s nearly. Huff 18th, Thompson 19th, and Prio in 17th as they cross the line. So Rob's got up to Andy Prio, but can't get ahead. And look, these are all championship front runners. Well, there's Cerasoli in front of them, but Ivan Muller was the other Seat that you could see from Andy's viewpoint.
We're looking at the back of Andy's car. You see the exhaust, it's all badly damaged, and that will be holding the engine back. It will be strangling the engine and not allowing him to go, because he is about 2 seconds a lap off the pace, and I reckon that's an exhaust change as well as a few other repairs at the back of the car before they can get out for the second race.
Lots of work to do in 15 minutes, and Bob Mumpire and the crew will be studying the pictures to try and suss exactly what is needed. So you see there's what the back of the BMW 320SI should look like. There's Umberto Grano, Roberto Ravaglia may be passing out due to lack of oxygen somewhere in the back of the shot. Umberto Grano, former multiple European Touring Car Championship winner. He's the man with the white shock of hair there. And of course Roberto Ravaglia, the 1987 World Touring Car Champion as well as European Champion as well. So huge experience in that team, and who better to have Alex Zanardi work with than the BMW Italia Spain outfit. And Zanardi now on to his last lap. Nicola Larini still 7th, Tom Coronel in 8th, so that's going to be an interesting front row for race 2. Farfus 9th, and see the gap, look, 2 seconds to Coronel. He's not going to close that in the last lap, and Tom's not going to give it away, so Tom will start on pole for race 2. Farfus will be in 9th place, and as we said earlier on, the only one of our championship challengers at the moment in the top 8 scoring any points at all, or top 6 is top 6 in the championship is Dirk Muller. So Rydell and Tarquini, who were 7th and 8th coming in here, will be very pleased to be 2nd and 3rd, even though 1st and 2nd of course would have gone a little bit better to helping their chances. Alex Zanardi only 14th in the series with 16 points so far, including 8 from 2nd place at Brno in race 1 at Brno. But now it is going to go to the last couple of corners. Rydell is closing on him. Out of 9 and 10, this is critical for Zanardi. He's got to get this run. And Rydell is getting closer. And I'm sure there will be an awful lot of people who will be willing Alex Zanardi on, as they were at Oschersleben last year. Huge fan base across the world. Rydell getting much closer, but he's not close enough to have a go in the final couple of corners. Come on, Alex. This is time to be partisan, I'm afraid. Come on, Alex. Let's see you get this BMW to the line. No disrespect to Rickard Rydell or to anybody else in the championship. But from pole position to checkered flag, it is going to be victory. Round 15 of the championship goes to Alex Zanardi. Rickard Rydell in second place, Gabriele Tarquini in third place, and the first pole to, oh wait, what's the pole? Second place on the grid, you're right, front row of the grid. They've still to get that first pole position. Front row of the grid to checkered flag victory. The first win of the season for the BMW Italia-Spain operation. You saw Roberto Ravaglia and Umberto Grano embrace, and there is Tom Coronel, 8th place for the GR Asia Seat driver. He takes the final point. He also wins the independence category, and look at Coronel. He was so delighted with that. He'll take pole for round 16 of the championship. And David, we might have to do a bit of maths. The way that he was celebrating suggests to me that he might have just put himself out of reach of anyone else in the Independence Trophy. We will work that out during the break. We will work that out during the break. So, to confirm then, Alex Zanardi wins from Rickard Rydell and Gabriele Tarquini. We'll be back in a moment to hear from our top three. Stay with us. Alex Zanardi brings the victorious BMW Italia-Spain 320 SI down pit road after winning round 15 of the World Touring Car Championship. He qualified second fastest. He'd been fastest throughout the practice sessions, and he and teammate Duncan Heisman had expected, or hoped at least, to get front row grid positions. Alex took second in the rain-afflicted qualifying, but then beat Rickard Rydell in the Seat away from the front row of the grid. Rydell from pole takes second. Gabriele Tarquini from third on the grid takes third. And what a championship we now have, with Prio not scoring, Thompson not scoring, Farfus not scoring, Jörg Müller not scoring, Ivan Müller not scoring. We suddenly have an electrifying bunch of drivers at the top of the championship. 4 points cover 7 drivers behind Andy Prio. Well, Rydell not looking ecstatic with second place. He could have done with the extra 2 points to, well, that would have put him into second position in the championship on his own. 2 points clear of James Thompson, his teammate, of Dirk Müller, and he is tied with them at the moment. But he's happy with that. That was not quite as good as it might have been from pole, but it was probably about as good as they could have expected. So, good effort by Rickard Rydell and by Gabriele Tarquini, who on Friday had already written off his championship chances, and now suddenly they're all back on. And Alex Zanardi, the winner here, his second World Touring Car victory. He won, of course, at Oschersleben in race 2 in 2005, and now race 1 in Turkey in 2006. And he controlled the race from the front, as he knew he would very likely need to. Made sure that Rickard Rydell didn't get close enough to him when his tyres were fresh, and then used his advantage to stay away. Tom Coronel in the background, winning the Independence Trophy again. He needs 5 points from race 2 here to guarantee himself the title. And behind him, Fabio Ravioli, the FIA's media delegate for the World Touring Car Championship, there in the blue shirt. Ciao, Fabio. And Roberto Ravaglia waiting there to greet Alex Zanardi. There are his engineers, the guys who build his car. And there's the boss, Roberto Ravaglia, just on the right-hand side. Emotional moments again for Alex Zanardi, or Luigi, as he's known to all under-5s in Italy, or his voice is known at least, from the Disney Pixar animation Cars, the movie. So, David, it's just been the most fantastic race for the championship standings. Drivers who had written their chances off yesterday suddenly are back in it.
That's right. I mean, we heard Gabriele Tarquini saying that, you know, he's no longer in the championship. Rydell said he's still trying, but they're both on the same points at 41 points. All of a sudden now, after the first race here in Istanbul Park, they are within striking distance of this championship, both of them. And what they need to do now is get another point scoring position out of today. And they've got good cars, you've seen that. But what happens when you get in the middle of the pack is it all goes wrong. You get lots of body damage, and we've seen it time and time again, how much body damage you can end up with. Now, there's Andy Priaulx. He ended up in 14th.
Where he started off.
Where he came back to that position after having lost it into the first corner. I do believe that he lost it on his own. I wasn't sure that someone touched the back of him, but certainly when he was spinning, he did get hit then at the back, and that burst the exhaust and the back bumper off and such like, and closed the exhaust up to really restrict the engine, and I think that did slow him down for the rest of the race. But starting in 4th, maybe if he can get up to 8th and just simply score 1 point, anything will do. He will take 1 point out of a weekend quite happily. He knows from previous experience the last couple of years, 1 point makes all the difference.
Absolutely right, and even more than Andy knows that, Dirk Muller knows that from bitter experience as well. So you can see the Dutch flag waving there as well. This is poised for Tom Coronel to win the Independence Trophy this season. And as we have a look back through the action, well, there's just too many close races here to call. Ivan Muller with Duncan Heisman and Dirk Muller. There was action everywhere the fans looked around this Istanbul motor park. And Tom Coronel, David's maths figures out he is in need of 5 more points, and that will guarantee that even Ryan Sharp, if he wins all 10 points or all 50 points remaining on offer for 40 points from the remaining of the championship, could not overhaul his score. So Coronel needs to be, well, in the top 4 or 5 in the independence category to guarantee his first series win. So from the lights, it was all about Alex Zanardi. Ricard Rydell on pole on the left. The picture just couldn't hold him off. Andy Priaulx was in trouble right from the start, bashing and boring all the way through. And in fact, he'd had this lose down into the first corner. Took off the back of the car as he got collected. On his way, spinning out there with 80 kilos, the car very difficult to drive. Jörg Muller, we think, broken suspension. Jordi Genet didn't really recover after that incident into the first corner with the Alfa. Salvatore Tavano spinning out there. Augusto Farfus was in the middle of it as well. Luca Rangoni led the independence category until the closing stages when Tom Coronel got the drag on him and got by. But it was all about Alex Zanardi. From the first corner to the last, he led. Roberto Regrano, Roberto Ravagli and the rest of the BMW Italia Spain team will celebrate and not have much work to do either before race 2. The car pristine and unmarked. So we're waiting to hopefully catch up with our top 3. Find out what they thought. There's confirmation of the result as it stands. Dirk Muller, the only one of the front-running top 6 who scores points here. Rydell and Tarquini, who had almost written off their chances, are 2nd and 3rd, and they are now right back in the championship hunt. Andy Priaulx still leads with 58 points. James Thompson is 2nd still with 49, but he's been joined in 2nd by Dirk Muller and Ricard Rydell, our 2nd place finisher here. Behind them, 47 points for Gabriele Tarquini, 46 for Augusto Farfus. We have a tie on 45 points between Jörg Muller and Ivan Muller. So there have been a lot of changes in the standings, and mathematically he's got to start scoring fast, mind. Peter Terting still might get in there, and do you know what? Mathematically, Jordi Genet could almost win a title as well. It's not likely to happen unless suddenly everybody else is withdrawn, disqualified, or falls down the stairs all in one mass group. But what it does mean is that our realistic challengers are still a field of 8 drivers, of whom 7 are separated by just 4 points, which is remarkable testament to the way that the championship works. And David, what a race.
It didn't stop, did it? Right from the word go. It was close into the first corner, and it just never stopped being like that all the way through. Eventually the first 3 sorted themselves out and followed each other around, but everything else behind that was just an absolute carnage of cars going right, left and centre, battling hard, very hard indeed, for every last point on that circuit.
Well, cheer up, guys. You're 3rd and 2nd. It could have been worse. You could have been bundled out of the race like everybody else was. Alex Zanardi on the top step of the podium. Hardly surprising to see him smiling here, taking a win at Istanbul. A great driver's circuit, and a great driver wins the race as well. So Tom Coronel again winning the independence category. And he had to work very hard indeed for that, but hard work paid off for him, and he claimed the win. So Alex Zanardi becomes our 10th different race-winning driver out of 15 starts. Again, David, testimony to just how closely balanced this championship is.
That's right, and as you said, there's 8 people at the top of this championship could win this championship at any moment, basically. And with Zanardi now popping himself in there as another winner. A little bit further back on points because he didn't do quite so well at the beginning of the season, but nevertheless it is a fantastic win for Zanardi. He had his first win last year at Oschersleben. Everybody was so happy. It's exactly the same here. Everybody in that pit lane loves to see Zanardi win. He is a guy with just so much determination, and to get there and win a World Championship. One of the most difficult things you can do is win a World Championship round of any motorsport series at all. And the World Touring Cars, as you've just seen how difficult it is with people running into each other, and desperate to get that position, desperate to get those points. And he's been on his top game all weekend. He's been right at the front as far as points, as far as time goes, and rightly deserved to have that win.
So now he'll start race 2 from 8th place. Ahead of him, Rydell, Tarquini, Dirk Muller, Heisman, Terting, Larini, and pole sitter Tom Coronel. And it's not beyond the bounds of possibility he might work himself further back up into the points as well. But the victory here, another sweet one to savour for Alex Zanardi. He said last year after Oschersleben, for a while a lot of people have been wondering whether it was time he retired, and he said, I've been starting to think the same myself. And then when that win came, you can just imagine what that did for his determination, David, as a driver yourself, to get that World Championship win after a long while of recovery from his accident, of course, in Germany. A very, very major boost to his self-confidence, and that's so critical as a driver.
It is. You've really got to believe in yourself, and winning a World Championship event, you can't ask for any more than that. It really is telling you that, yes, you're capable of doing whatever you want to do, basically, and he's done it again this year. And you have to say that, you know, there's the guy. He moves around. Look at this ginormous step that is down from the top step there down, and nothing seems to be a problem to him. And the team have really got this car sorted for him. The first couple of years were very much sorting out the controls and everything else to make it work, and now it's just a little sorting the car out.
We'll hand you over to David Harmon and the crew at Salzburg for the cycling update. Then we'll be back live for race 2. Stay with us.